Thank you and welcome to Disavowed Podcast. I am your always gracious and humble host, Bebo the Great. And today with me, I have a special guest. His name is Andrew J. Schatkin. He is a prominent conservative Republican biblical scholar and philosopher, and also a author of 5 legal and philosophical books about law and Christianity. He has his Juris Doctorate degree from Villanova University and a Master's of Divinity degree in Biblical and Classical Languages from Princeton's Theological Seminary. And he is also the host of the Schatkin Show, a worldwide podcast that you can find at shotkinshow.com. Um, quite an impressive resume there, sir.
That's
You
very nice of you to say that, and I'm very glad you asked me to be on this show because I take the opportunity. We live in a still, let me put it this way, we still, I think, live in a free society, less so perhaps than used to be.
right? Uh, well, well, getting into that, I guess we can start off with the political sides of things. Uh, Now, when you say that we live in still a free society, obviously with the election going on, and what's your feelings on the results of the presidential election?
Let me tell you, when I say that I am a conservative, it's not that I totally go along with everything in the Republican Party, but for example, as a Christian, I am concerned about poverty and underclass people. They should be raised up to, and that I'm concerned about economic inequality. I'm not in favor of it, you know. But whatever. The main thing is with this election, I'll have to tell you. How do you pronounce your name, by the way?
My first name is Bebo, and
Bebo.
yeah,
Okay,
you can
Bebo.
just
You can
call me.
call me Andy.
All right.
This is the thing. What happened in the election was there was the minute that President Trump gained office in 2016, there began a huge, massive campaign, media, and probably other forces that I don't even know about or can't even imagine that wanted him out of office. They tried everything they could. They impeached him. They were slamming that man nonstop for 4 years, calling him a racist. When he came from New York with a $1 billion business, the idea of this guy being a racist is absurd. You know, he has a huge business in New York City with all kinds of people. He's not a racist. If he were, he wouldn't survive in that environment. But I mean, they tried everything they could, and to a certain and why they wanted him out. Let me give you an example of what I mean of their desire to get him out of office, which was a massive campaign. Why they wanted him out of office is unclear. I think there were forces, global forces, brought to bear on this situation that want certain changes in our society, in our country, perhaps, to make it into a European left-wing model, where where the other points of view are excluded. This I went to a meeting of I'm not a Catholic, but I attend. My sister teaches in a Catholic school, Boston College theology. We're Lutherans actually, but for example, there was a man who came from Harvard Kennedy School in Harvard to talk in a meeting of America magazine. It's a Jesuit Catholic periodical. I go to these meetings. I have nothing. I'm a favor, perfectly fine with the Roman Catholic Church. I have no issue with it. And these two people from the Kennedy School said, as you can imagine, Biba, they're going to be liberal, right? And
Most probably are
out of
from the
Harvard,
Kennedy School, right?
I believe me, that nobody else is going to be allowed in there to survive unless you're a left-wing liberal. So these people said that we have got to get this man out of office. They say made it quite clear that it was a priority, and it was either through the election, which is what they succeeded in, or the impeachment, which they also didn't succeed in. And I think they succeeded to a certain extent. This is what happened in this election. There were a certain percentage of people, because of these constant verbal statements about the president, they believed it. What do you think? You think a certain percentage of people were convinced, correct, by this media blitz?
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you my position on it. I'm a very religious man. I'm actually Mormon. I don't know how you feel about
No, it's
Mormons.
fine.
Right.
I like Mormons.
Right. Uh,
Mormons are good people.
well, there's a lot of the Christian community that don't consider Mormons to be Christian, right? You know.
Well, whatever it is, I think they have a positive stance in society. They have a very, very moral position in their culture.
Hmm.
I like Mormons.
Yeah. But here's my position. I didn't vote for President Trump because he was some great moral Christian. I didn't vote for President Trump because I wanted him to be my priest, like he was going to be my
That's right. That's right.
moral
That's
leader,
right.
right? I
Right.
voted
I agree with you.
I basically voted for President Trump because I saw him as a barrier, as a way to slowing down the left-wing communist mob. That's the only reason I voted.
Which, yes, I mentioned they try and take over.
Right. And now I think the president did a relatively good job. I still hope he ends up pulling it out. They filed the lawsuit out of Texas with 20 states joining.
Do you think he'll get back into office?
I think it's highly unlikely, but I hope that he does. But I also think we could be very well witnessing the beginning of something we've never seen before since the Civil War in this nation with this lawsuit being filed. You basically have 20 states standing behind the president saying that the
Mm.
the four states basically did an unconstitutional election, right? So yeah, I mean, if the Supreme Court refuses, I think the Supreme Court's going to have a more difficult time refusing this case than the Pennsylvania case, especially now with 20 attorney generals from 20 different states on. You basically have half the nation now suing four states.
Well, do you believe, but let me ask you this. Do you believe that there's enough fact? We all have to live in a world, hopefully, where we adhere to truth and facts. I mean, we're not just a bunch of ideologues, throwing around phrases and ideology. What I'm saying is, do you believe this election that there was a fraud involved?
I believe there's probably fraud involved in every election. Now, the question would be, is there enough fraud to where it would overturn the results is another thing. But my position, hypothetically, is I'm to the point now where basically with the liberal system and their willingness to use violence. Okay, now hypothetically, what why would you believe that people that are willing to burn down cities and kill people in the streets and burn down buildings and police stations, why would election fraud be the line that they won't cross?
Right.
Y-
I
y-
agree.
so
Well, the Democratic left want to defund the police department to allow
correct,
this to occur.
right. But my point is being whether there was election fraud or not, the damage has been done. Whether Trump won or not, my position is I would like to see a secession movement regardless. I don't want to be this tit for tat back and forth with liberalism is only causing us slowly to drift into communism, in my opinion.
Well, the liberals, as I said to you, Biba, and I see your point. I basically agree with you, but I think at least the short-term goal of the liberal left is to transform this. If you look at the European countries like Germany or France, there is no other point of view but the left, correct?
Yes.
They have a complete dictatorial control over the society. Unless you're liberal, unless you're left-wing in those countries, you don't make it, right?
Yeah, and they're even still fighting amongst themselves.
Well, they want to make this country like that,
Yeah. Well,
correct?
I mean, let's be honest. 80% of the world is, socialism to communism now.
It is, but don't you think the liberal left wants? First of all, they have so many goals. I'm sure you agree with me. For example, bringing enough people illegally here is a method of obtaining voter electoral control through votes. They're hoping, I assume, correct?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that.
And so I think in this election, because of their success in the demographics, to a certain extent, I think there was some illegality, as there is in every election. But in their success in these demographic shifts, they were able to swing a lot of votes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, as time goes by, I see the demographic shift just getting
Oh
more
yeah, well that's their
one-sided.
goal. I don't think they care about race or religion or anything. They just want to get the power. That's all.
Well, I think they care about race and religion as a tool of dividing people and a mechanism of getting what they want.
For example, there are certain states where I was very surprised that President Trump did not win. Two examples, which were these were traditionally conservative areas like Virginia and Georgia.
Hmm.
I was shocked that he didn't win those states.
Well, what about your position? Do you believe that there was some type of fraud?
I don't know. It's possible. I really don't know. Let me put it this way. He was an incumbent president, correct?
Yeah.
That's one factor that I think he had every possibility of regaining office on that basis because incumbent presidents usually win. Okay, that's the first factor. The second factor is that he had done a good job, and it was not really. It didn't seem to matter. For example, he didn't put us into a land war in Syria. He got the hostages out of North Korea in 10 days. The Democrats in Iran couldn't do anything for a year. He was very successful in this kind of thing. He also, what is very important, is he was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. He brought a negotiated settlement between several Arab countries in the United Emirates and Israel. He succeeded in bringing them to the table. And the Arabs, up to this point, had never, ever, ever had anything good or positive to say about Israel. But he managed to do that. I thought it was a fantastic accomplishment. He stopped the flow of illegal immigration correctly. He was doing his job, enforcing the law, preserving jobs for the black and Latino community. He helped those people, Vivo, significantly by enabling them to get jobs and keep them. He did a lot of good in this world, you know?
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you. But unfortunately, uh, we have people. Honestly, I think most of the electorate that votes don't have any idea what they're voting for. They're most of the common man out here is told who to vote for.
Well, also, let me tell you another problem. You're probably going to agree with me. The media has obtained through their essentially lies and falsehoods, whatever you want to call it. They have managed to fool people
Yeah.
significantly. And also, another problem, let me tell you another problem, you're probably going to agree with me, is the educational system. We live in a society today, more and more, our thinking mechanism in our society is being brought down to zero.
Hmm.
I'm aware of it. I see it. I mean, you must see it too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even a highly educated man, honestly. I am. The last grade I passed was eighth grade, but I.
I'm not. Look, Abraham Lincoln. I have the Lincoln Douglas debates in my house. These people were fourth grade graduates,
Mm,
Douglas, and they were extremely articulate and literate. They were not illiterate. They were not stupid.
mm,
And they went to fourth grade. So it has nothing to do with the amount of education. I don't know what the problem is really,
mm.
but our society is being brought down to a non-thinking society.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of that is with like social media and instant, you know, like when you're reading a book or you're reading print, you sit there and you'll, after you read it, sometimes you'll read it again and you ponder it. And like when you get
That's right.
when you get like a headline from your social media, most people most people just read that headline, right? And that's enough for them.
Well, I think somebody mentioned to me. You tell me if you. First of all, you made a good point. I know for a fact that it's not a matter of education, people's intellectual ability. I know that. I mean, because there are plenty of very qualified people who didn't go to school that much. Plenty. Okay, so it's a matter of your innate ability. That's my opinion. You know.
Well, I think like most people are not very well. Like I don't even consider myself very well read. I'd say probably in the last 2 years I've maybe read like 3 books, right?
But you still are using your mind to infer what's going on in our system correctly.
Right. I mean, yeah,
Some people can't do that.
yeah. I think with the instant headlines nowadays, I think it's destroyed basically critical thinking, right? They just get the headline and then they don't even read the story and then they go to work and then they will just parrot that headline on a story and that, like I said, that's enough for most people. That just reading the headlines on the news will make someone feel like they're informed.
Well, you think this is my opinion? There is the social media with this quickie kind of thing. This has created a society where people can't focus.
Yeah.
They can't focus on reading anything.
Yeah.
That's why they only do the headlines because their minds are mashed.
Yeah, I mean, you do see the rise in like ADHD and stuff like that in society, you know. It's undeniable, right?
I don't think it's a matter. I say, as you pointed out, people, it's not a matter of education. It isn't, because I know in the past people had very little education and they were able to read a lot. There was more exchange of thoughts. Today, that's another problem. Today, you're probably going to agree with me. The academic sector doesn't allow free thinking. Take on the pro-life issue. We can't. We are not allowed to present that issue to the young people in college.
Yeah, I would say it's more than the pro-life issue. I think it's more of the basically anything Judeo-Christian or what
Mm.
they consider to be a religious position. If you look at the left wing, they tend to be teach you to hate, right? Like they teach men that being masculine's bad. They teach women that being feminine is bad. They teach, you know, uh, religious
That's a good
people.
point.
They teach religious people, that being dogmatic about their religion is bad. That you have to be secular. It's all anti. Everything they teach you is to
Well,
hate what you are.
as you pointed out correctly that the academic system, the college system, it's a fact, does not. I want to pinpoint it more exactly. Use the term Judeo-Christian. Maybe that's the right word. Maybe not. But they will not allow the articulation of Christian belief in the academic sector.
Right.
Period. They just don't.
No, I completely agree with it, and that's the main thing too. You could be a economic conservative, right? A physical conservative, and they won't attack you as badly. But as soon as they find out like you're a religious fanatic, what they would call you, right? then they tend to dismiss anything you say after that point.
What about I saw a video. I go to some meetings, pro-life meetings, and there was a group of pro-life people that went down to George Washington University in D.C. to articulate and present the pro-life position on the issue of abortion to young women. Let me tell you, those kids went berserk, yelling and screaming, saying, "You can't tell us what to do."
Hmm.
I'm telling you, they almost attacked those people, and they had signs. I grant you, they didn't like what the signs said, that abortion is murder and sin. They didn't like it,
Right.
but they almost physically attacked those people.
Yeah. Well, like for example, like if I came out and I made a statement like we should kill all mentally handicapped people, right? The
Mm,
most of society would feel that that is abhorrent and a horrible stance, correct?
right.
Right? Now, but let's say I come out and I say, "Hey, we should abort all handicapped fetuses before
That's
they're
right.
born," right?
Well, that's the position they're taking
Right. That's
on things like Down
well,
syndrome and stuff.
they don't only want to abort ones with mental deficiencies or neurological deficiencies. They're fine with aborting a completely healthy, you know. So, they'll abort any fetus.
Well, this thing, you probably know this, Bevo, that the abortion industry dates back to Margaret Sanger, where there was a movement in society for many years, starting with Darwin and stuff, and Nietzsche and Hitler. It culminated in Hitler to get rid of people that they felt were unfit, unworthy, stupid, disabled, whatever, right?
Hmm. Correct.
So that really is where they're coming from. They really are Christians or Mormons, or I mean, I think Mormons are fine, so you have no problem with that. But we believe that people have innate value in their humanity. These people do not.
Well, see, what I find interesting with you, because I've watched your show actually. I do my research before I have a guest on.
Oh yeah, what you heard some podcast?
Yeah. Oh, I've watched probably I'd say about five, six since.
Oh, that's very nice of you.
But you um tend to uh you like you stated earlier, income inequality, right? You're a
Yes,
bit
I'm opposed to that. I
right.
think Jesus or didn't particularly want people to be poor. No.
Yeah. See, now what the left will do with most people on the right is they will use let's be honest, most people on the right are complete free market, strategy.
They are.
Right. Yeah. In most right-wing circles, you start talking about income inequality, you're going to have opposition from our own side, right?
I realize that, but I'm not changing that position because it's with my faith.
Yeah,
I'm not
right.
going
Right.
to alter it.
Well, I'm actually with you. I think income inequality is a big thing, right? And I think in the LDS Church that we try to help each other with income inequality a lot
You
too,
do?
right? Yeah, we actually have like once a month we fast and we're supposed to give all the money that we would have used on food that day, we give it to the poor, right? Right. So there's some
I think that's
differences.
great. That's fantastic.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is the left will use that as a weapon against us. They will say, you only care about children while they're in the womb. Once someone's born, the right tends not to care, right?
There are people on the right, perhaps not as much as they should, or I should, or certainly I know I have. I mean, one factor which I think is true is it really is true, and I'm not about to alter this position either. That I believe in the reality of sin and evil. I think it's a fact. Our
Yeah.
society denies it today, doesn't it?
Yeah, they like to have this idea that there's like no bad person. There's no.
They do. That is absurd. There is so much evil in the world that all you have to do is look around.
Hmm.
I mean, but I suppose if you don't want to see it, then you don't want to see it.
Well, see, that's my stance on the whole situation that modern society is in. No matter what we do, if we keep going further away from Christ and
That's
God,
right.
we're going to get worse and worse as a society. It's going to continue to degenerate, in my opinion.
It is degenerating.
Right.
Very, and what is particularly victimized, in my opinion, are the young people. They are so propagandized from the beginning of school to their graduation from college that their minds are made into jelly. That's my opinion.
Right. So, do you think that secular society can coexist with a religious faction
Oh
anymore?
no, definitely. I think we need the secular society. We need it. We need a government. We need business. Business. These are all good things, and the church really can't undertake those tasks. I mean, I believe in democracy.
Hmm.
I believe in one man, one vote. I think that democracy is the best of all possible alternatives. Although we are moving away because of these factors, these ideological battles on the left, they are creating a society which is really not exactly democratic.
Right. See, I've moved past that now. I'm, no- I'm to the point now. I think that I would like to see like a version of Christian theocracy. I think that the Constitution hypothetically has failed us. Like our constitutional rights are being violated day in and day out.
Well, they want to eliminate religious belief. The left wants to kick it out. They want to also. They're in bed, people. The left is in bed. You know very well with Islam,
Hmm.
and they use it as a weapon to get rid of Christianity.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's what's always amazes me with Islam and the left. Like Islam is the complete opposite of secularism and leftist ideology. They're just using Islam as a tool to basically combat us, is what I feel.
They want to. They're using it, as I said. You're right. I don't mean to interrupt you. They are using it to get rid of the Christian influences in our, or more, whatever we want to term it, religious influences in our country.
Hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. You know, uh, uh, it's unfortunate though. See, like I feel like everyone looks back and they say like we were a Christian nation, right? Right? America was established on Christian beliefs, right? But yet here we are sitting right in a country right now where they're basically told churches they can't open, right?
Why are they doing that? Do you think they want to get rid of the church?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think they want to get rid of all Christian religion. You know, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I I think they are fine with everything except for Christianity, and to me, that's basically prophecy of that's what I believe happens in the end times. I believe everyone comes against Christianity eventually.
Well, you're right, and they are banning. I know at least in New York they're trying to ban congregational singing, and in California, and they are also attempting to limit the number of people that attend church.
Hmm.
I heard that. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, they are limited here. I'm currently in Michigan. We're in lockdown again, so there is no church.
Not at all.
None. Yeah,
Nothing.
nothing.
Now, but look where I live. There's a lot of bars, and these bars are open. They have people playing guitars and doing all kinds of stuff. And lounge. I don't care if a person wants to go to a bar. It's a commercial situation. They have it's a free country if you want to go and drink. I personally don't drink.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but there's a lot of our bars are closed here too. Our bars are
All the
closed.
bars are closed. They didn't
Yes.
close them here.
Yeah,
The
restaurants.
bars are closed.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do you think they're the church is under very widespread persecution in the entire world.
Yeah, I agree.
They are killing in Nigeria. I read they have in the past 2 years murdered 30,000 Christians.
Right. Well, see, I think a lot of this we opened up to ourselves. I believe that the most of our Christian churches have been infiltrated through left-wing ideology,
Yes, they have.
right? I I grew up Catholic. I converted to
Mm-hmm.
LDS, right? And I'm Italian, so like
Right.
switching,
Mm-hmm.
leaving Catholicism was a big deal, right?
I see.
Like literally one of my ancestors was a anti-pope, right? That
Oh,
helped.
really?
Yeah, he John the 23rd, I don't know if you're familiar. He was an
Yeah, I
anti-pope.
remember him. Yeah.
He helped end the Great Schism. I don't know if you're familiar. The-
I liked John the 23rd. I thought he was great.
Yeah, he's not recognized by the Catholic Church as a pope anymore. So he's considered an anti-pope, But
What do you think of this man, Pope Francis, about his? I just had a discussion with someone about this. I think
you're
his
coming in a
rhetoric.
little muffled. I don't know if it's from the speaker.
Oh, I don't
Right
know.
there. Yep, you're better
How
now.
about, is it okay now?
Yep, beautiful.
Okay. He came out with this idea of same-sex civil unions. Now, the Catholic Catechism says, correctly, I believe, that homosexuality is a sin and disorder. It says you can treat it with compassion, but they define it as a sin and disorder. And Holy Scripture, the Bible, unfortunately says the same. It says it's the behavior, active homosexuality, not just thinking it, is a sin. So I would like to know how Pope Francis can come up with same-sex civil unions. What do you think of that?
Oh no, I believe homosexuality is a sin. I don't believe marriage can be between two men or two women. I believe marriage is clearly defined as one man
But
and
is
woman.
he trying to change the church's position on this issue?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think society as a whole is. I think part of the reason they want the woman out of the house is so the woman can't keep an eye on the children. And I completely believe in like the pedophile rings, and that's why I left the Catholic Church was because of the pedophilia of them molesting young men. That was the last straw for me as a Catholic. And that's why I believe they want the women out of the house not working is so they can take advantage of our children, basically.
But maybe so. That's a good point. But what do you think of Pope? He also said something else that Christians or Catholics, in his case Catholics, I suppose, maybe he included the word Christian or whatever he wanted to say. He said Islam
You're
and
coming
Christianity
in
worship
muffled
the
again.
same. Sorry, he said Islam and Christianity worship the same God.
Yeah, I seen that.
Now that is an outrage.
Yeah, see, I try not to, you know, rip on other Christian religions too much, because
Well, I'm just saying I disagree with him.
oh yeah, I disagree too. But I think in the end, what it's going to come down to is I don't really like all the infighting between Christian organizations, like how they say Mormonism Christian.
Right.
Some people find that Catholicism isn't Christian, right?
Some people say that. I don't agree.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's perfectly fine. I think they have a different perspective on a lot of things, such as the priesthood and the mass.
Right.
They don't stress biblical authority as much as non-Catholics. They proceed on the issue of the mass and the Eucharist.
Mhm.
It's a little different approach. It doesn't mean they're not Christians.
Yeah, no. Like as far as priest, I believe part of the problem with the church is they should allow the men to marry.
Oh, you do, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's why we had the
Mm-hmm.
priest molesting the children. I believe that a lot of young men back in the day were scared to come out of the closet as homosexual, so they rather than come out and tell their family and friends that they were homosexual, they went and basically became priest as a
I see. Well, that may be so. I don't
yeah.
know. I see the reason for the celibacy requirement as total devotion to the Church in Christ, but as you say, maybe it's not good.
Yeah. No, I think it's a faulty standard. Basically, I think it's a standard you can't live up to try to have a man
Mm-hmm.
not marry and be. We are to be Christ-like. We are not to be Christ, right?
Well, Jesus, with all due respect, I see your point. He didn't marry.
Right.
He didn't have a family. He had no property.
Right.
He lived in essential poverty.
Right. But we're not Jesus, right? We can't reach that standard, right?
No, but that's the model that he presents to us.
Right. Right. And that gets to the same thing though. The Knights Templars used to take an oath to poverty, right? Like Jesus, right?
Right. Well, yeah.
Right. But then the Knights Templar ended up being the most one of the wealthiest organizations in Europe, right? And the same thing happened with the Catholic Church, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
A lot of these orders have quite a bit of money.
yeah, so if the goal is to be exactly like Jesus, how can you go into a church that has gold cups and gold floors and you get what I'm saying?
Mm.
Yeah. Jesus said that a rich man's chances of going to heaven is like a camel passing through the
Going to
eye.
the eye of a needle, right?
Right. So, yeah, and then he told, I forget who, the one rich guy that,
Yeah, to give up your goods.
yeah, you want you want
Couldn't
to
do it.
you want to be like me, give up everything and follow me, and you will be rewarded with untold riches in heaven, right?
You did say that to him.
Yeah. I mean, but how?
But also, he cleaned out the temple of the money changers and
Right,
commercial people.
right. Yeah. It got so one of the last straws for me in Catholicism was I went to a church. Our church was having a fair, and they had the beer room in the basement of the church,
Mm,
right? And then they had signs of people they were supporting in politics right up on the walls.
really.
Yeah. So, so, but, we can sit here and say we're to be like Jesus, but how many of us are giving up all of our
Well,
possessions?
I think with I mean, I may be wrong. I see what you're saying. But in terms of the giving up your goods, I think that was that particular person's
Right.
difficulty or impediment. Maybe we could, if we want to enter into a relationship with Christ or be taken into heaven, maybe we have other faults and impediments we have to give up. For example, some people think or want to be wealthy. They want to be smarter than other people. They want to be better looking.
Right.
They want to think they make a judgment on people's clothes or looks. So maybe for those people, they have to give up that kind of thinking.
Right. We all have our faults and our
Yeah,
different,
well, that's it.
like pride is, well, they say pride is the root of all sin in some
It's very
fashion.
bad.
Right.
It's very bad. As a matter of fact, if you look at the story of, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you're saying a lot of very good things, particularly on this matter of pride. The story in Genesis in chapter 3 of the fall of man into sin, which brought evil into the world, the issue was the serpent in Satan appealed to Eve's pride. He said, you can be like a god. You're going to be
Mhm.
important. You're going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she gave into that.
He basically told her like, yeah, dude, God don't want you to know this, right?
Right.
Because he knows it.
But we want to be great, right? Or think we're great,
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. I don't think I'm great. Not anymore.
Uh,
Maybe when I was younger or something.
yeah, I think as you get older, like you see at the beginning of my show, my intro, I introduce myself as Bebo the Great. I do that sort
Mm.
of as a
Yeah.
a,
Yeah.
a
I'm
mockery,
not
right?
faulting you.
Right. But like I think as you get older and your fleshly body begins to you can feel yourself dying basically.
Yeah, that's true.
As I'm getting older, I can tell that I'm not what I once was, right?
Right. That's
Right.
true.
And I think the process of death is a very humbling experience, right?
Yeah, I mean, but many people, as you say, they what led to Eve's and our downfall, which she brought us down to this present evil world of sin and death and whatever you want to define as bad. She brought it. The Bible says she brought it into the world through her pride.
Hmm.
Don't you think?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think pride is the root of all sin here.
It
Honestly.
is. I mean, and many people, particularly today, many people don't believe in the reality of sin, as I mentioned. But that is the beginning point of knowing, really knowing yourself truly, or taking a good look at yourself. Many people don't want to do that.
Oh yeah, I
They
can.
want to think they're great or good or the best, whatever. What do they want to think of themselves?
Yeah, like I was listening to the one podcast where you mentioned you were it might have been on someone else's podcast you were on, but
Mm.
y- you asked about like basically loving yourself, being selfish, right?
Well, that's the issue.
Right. Well, but it also says in the Bible that we should love our neighbor as we love ourselves. So I think we should love ourselves, right? But we shouldn't.
But it depends what you mean by love.
Right, correct. Like,
If you mean self involvement
right,
or selfishness, I don't think that's good.
right. Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I think to some degree we all have some selfishness or some self-involvement, because if we didn't, we could give up all of our uh
That's right.
we could give up everything like Jesus said and go follow him, but that's why we can't because you know, people are always looking for shortcuts in life, right? People are always looking for, if someone can find something where they can make $1,000 a day doing virtually nothing, and if it works, they'll do it, right?
Right.
You know, what, you know, unfortunately, in our society today, uh, like I get a lot of flack from people, and the truth is that most people that produce less tend to make more.
Mm.
You know, uh, you know the man on the machine actually making the parts, the farmer in the field actually tilling the field, them tend to be the lowest paying jobs. The man that makes great wealth in this world today is the man that pushes paper, right? Sits at a
It
desk.
seems that way, and I don't agree with these people are entitled to the respect our society gives them. I think the farmer and the mechanic and the bus driver, their jobs are equally important and equally significant. I don't think pushing a lot of paper, taking phone calls makes you anything great. I'm sorry.
I don't think they're equal. I think they're more important.
They are more important, as a matter. They're more essential.
Yeah, but the every for unfortunately though, even on the right wing, there's this attitude that like everyone that became wealthy like worked their way up and
No, that's
earned it.
nonsense.
Yeah,
Very well. So the idea of Bill Gates that he gained $1 billion by working at a job is ridiculous. I'm sorry. I don't believe it.
you know, well, uh, you know, like even in people will say that like China is communist, right? Right?
Mm.
Like, how can China be communist if they have a intellectual property, right? They can patent. There's a patent system in China, right?
Oh, there is.
Right. Hypothetically, I don't think you can have communism with a patent system that has intellectual ownership, right? Yeah,
Right.
how can you intellectually own an idea and have a
Mm.
communist system, right? There is no pure communism. That's what the left don't understand, right? There's no pure communism.
Not
Communism,
anymore.
right? Communism hypothetically would work, and I believe it would work if Jesus was running it.
Well, I to this extent I part ways with the right that I favor in terms of possibly the idea. I don't think communism or socialism works on a practical basis. Those systems don't work. Period. It's been shown to be true. They don't provide jobs. There's no growth. Okay, but I'll say this about socialism and communism: the idea of equalization of wealth is good, and
Right.
eliminating class. I don't believe in class divisions. That I don't believe in.
Well, what does the Bible say about those that promote inequity?
Well, it says that he makes it clear. Jesus makes it clear that these people are problematical.
And that's the points you've made a couple times. That's the difference between Jesus and a lot of other religions is like we're to honor the poor, right? We're
It's a very unique position, and it makes Christianity extremely unique. If you look at others, look, I'm not knocking other religions. I respect everyone, every position. People are tough. If you look at countries with other religions, everybody's in poverty. Nobody gets a chance, right? Look
uh,
at
well, except for Israel, I would say.
well, that's a Western outpost,
Yeah, but it's not
you know.
Christian.
Well, but it's Jewish, but
Yeah,
at least they have half of the Christian
that's
perspective in the Bible. But it's all I say is that Islamic countries are a horror show, economically correct, and they must. That religion does not raise people up from their poverty or do anything about it, do they?
um, I think you know, especially in the nations where they practice Sharia, like Abu Dhabi is obviously doing very well. I think the areas where they're more dogmatic and practice like Sharia, that's the case. Yes.
But as you say, Christianity has a unique perspective of respecting and honoring poverty, and not only that, but trying to help them.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that, but I think most of the followers of Christianity are unfortunately we're not honoring it.
Well, maybe I'm not honoring. As I said to you, I recognize my failings as a human being. I guess the better word is the sin that resides in me. I know it is true, and those people were imperfect because the only people who are perfect are those who have been transformed by the love of Christ.
That's
I
correct.
mean, so yes, there's a lot of imperfect Christians around. I'm not surprised. Are you?
No, I mean the Bible clearly states the poor will always be among us.
Right.
I don't think we can end poverty, but I certainly think we can do better than what we're doing.
Well, I think that we are commanded to help. I mean, it's obviously in the biblical revelation we are commanded to help the poor. We really are.
Yeah, there's no debating that. All right, we've got about 12 minutes left. I want to get into uh some of your you were stating like with Islam, right? So,
I have nothing against Islam. They're good people. They're very nice people, actually. From my time.
but do you believe that Islam is basically able to like immigration as far as immigration and migrating a bunch of Muslims into a Christian society? Do you believe that we are capable of, having a coexisting?
It's not. I'm not sure because there are elements in Islamic society that are violent. Now, I don't think most Muslims are peaceful, law-abiding family people that just want to earn a living, and they don't give much thought to their religion except they were born into it, and it's their tradition. I think most Muslims are okay. They're just people, right?
Right. But culturally, I would say that there's this book that was written in the mid mid '90s. It was basically a thesis, and he wrote it into a book like Clash of Civilizations, right? And in this book, the theory is after the uh, Cold War that all wars after that would be fought basically based on religious and cultural differences.
Mm.
You know, so
Well, I'm not sure. Let me put it this way. I'll say this. I'm trying to be dispassionate and fair. First of all, how many people? There's 2 billion or over a billion of them, right?
oh yeah,
And as I said, they're just people. And most people, in terms of their religion, simply follow what their family gives to them.
mm,
They don't give much thought to it. I think that's the case with most Muslims. But on the other hand, it is a fact that in some Muslim societies they don't allow freedom of religion,
right,
whether in Saudi Arabia or Pakistan. They don't allow other religions to exist, and actually in Pakistan there are blasphemy laws
mm,
where if you say something against Muhammad, you end up in jail or executed.
yeah,
So they can't come here and enforce that position.
right.
We live in a society where people have freedom of religion. In their societies, unfortunately, Bevo, there is no freedom of religion. Correct?
I mean, it's unfortunate if you're not Muslim. Like I would like a Christian theocracy, so I don't necessarily want freedom of religion for myself in my nation. So
Well,
I'm
I respect that position, but I'm not sure that I would precisely agree with it. But I see the point. I think that I would like to see the idea of a Christian society.
right.
Yes, I would like to. I would like to have a Christian society, of course.
Right,
You know.
but I believe there's only a couple nations or states that recognize Christianity officially as a religion now, and most of them are in Africa, right? And you know,
That's where the. Go ahead.
like you said, in the Middle Eastern nations, basically they've intertwined their religion with their government, right? It's
Yes,
basically the
it's an
same.
oppressive. It is. It is. I'm being honest about it, people. The in those countries, the government enforces the religious belief
Hmm.
they of this system, and if they want to come here, they have to give that up.
Right. So basically, you have nations where there's Muslim states, right?
Right.
You have nations where there's Hindu states, right? You have a Jewish state in Israel, but
Right.
where can you point now where you can say that's a Christian state?
Well, you're right. And Christianity, in many parts of the world, maybe in most of the world, is not a favored religion.
Well,
I don't think it is.
and then if there is majority Christian nations, they tend to be all secular. See, people always rip on Christianity, but Christianity is multiculturalism. There's
It
tons of
is.
yeah, right.
It's non-racial.
Right, that's correct. And we don't get enough credit for that. You have tons of different ethnic groups and races that are Christian.
Well, first of all, I mean, let's try to understand why Christians are persecuted and disfavored. It is generally something good. I think it's a fact. Good people and good ideas are disfavored and persecuted, and evil and bad are in many societies are favored.
Well, the Bible says who's in charge of this world, right?
Well, that's why I didn't want to say that, but yes, Satan wants his way, whether it's banning congregational singing or saying people can't attend church. These are all, I think, I agree with you. If you want to agree about it, yes, I think there is evil forces in the world, and it's these. What is going on here is promulgated by Satan.
Right. And that's what the Constitution was supposed to be there to do, is protect us from this type of, you know, power grabs. But
Well,
all right, we got
but I
about
think the left, as I said, the left wants Islam here, not because they agree with it. I think their main agenda is get rid of Christian underpinnings in our society.
oh, I
That's
agree.
why they favor them. I don't think they even think about religious beliefs or are concerned about it. They are concerned, for some reason, they are concerned about changing our society in that respect.
All right, we got about 5 minutes left. I'd just like to ask you one last thing. Uh, our society, and where do you see it going from here? And then also plug your channel and your books.
Our society, Vivo, we are in, I have said this many times, we are in significant downturn. Our society is being pulled down. Now, why it is being pulled down, I don't know. But I think you're certainly aware of it, and I'm aware of it, and everybody I know is aware of it. This country is going down.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's because of the lack of Christianity myself.
It may be, but also the entire Christian ideas and concepts like sin and salvation and these things are being eradicated. Young people don't know about them anymore.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, this is Andrew Schatkin. Plug your books and where you can be found.
Okay, please, I have an email address. It's a.schatkin48@gmail.com. And you can also take a look at my website at shatkinshow.com, where you'll see my books and blogs and podcasts. Bibo, if you could send me a link to this show, could you?
Yes, sir. Yep.
And I
All right.
will post it.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, stay on the line. I'll close it out. I'd like to thank you afterwards, and
Okay.
it's been a pleasure.
To say.
Yes. All right, I'm going to close it out now. All right, thank you for joining us, and you have all been disavowed.